You expect me to talk?
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Written by Jack Whittingham, Kevin McClory and Ian Fleming, directed by Irvin Kershner, 1983's Never Say Never Again. If you haven't seen my Octopussy review, in there I'm talking about some of the backstory to this film because it was a complicated one. And I will just summarize it for those of you who don't know about this. There was a legal battle going on for decades between Ian Fleming and a man named Kevin McClory. It was a battle for the rights to the story Thunderball, because both men worked on the story back in the day. And at some point Kevin McClory won the legal battle and received the rights to Thunderball. So he decided to essentially do a remake of Thunderball. Because as we all know, Thunderball was first done as a movie back in the 60s. So he did his own version of the story. It wasn't particularly a remake of the film, but it was his own version of the story Thunderball. He somehow managed to get Sean Connery to join the project in the role of Bond, which was huge, of course. So 1983 was called the Battle of the Bonds, because there was the regular Bond film at the cinemas, the Eon production with Roger Moore. It was Octopussy, and there was Never Say Never Again as the competing film, not at the same time at the cinema, but at the same year. And of course, Octopussy is the better movie if you want to compare them to each other. I would say Octopussy is the better film. But I was always a fan of Never Say Never Again. I think this is another film that got a bad rap for decades. And I think it's a little unfair to the film, because to be completely honest, yeah, I understand some fans are loyal, to the original Eon Bond films, and I get it. So some of them really don't like this film or don't want to like this film, let's say. I totally get this, but I think McClory did a pretty great job, to be completely honest with you. I think it's a very, very entertaining film, and I like it a lot. Also because of nostalgia, because back in my childhood days, me and my brother, we were watching this film a lot. It was one of my most watched Bond films. I'm not sure why that was. I don't know, but I loved it back in my childhood days, and I still love it today. And please hear me out. Let's talk about many of the things which make this a great film, in my opinion. So because this wasn't an official Eon release, the movie lacks a lot of familiar elements. There are a lot of elements missing, like the gun barrel. There's no gun barrel in the beginning of the film. Instead, there's a very 80s looking 007 logo. There's no Bond music. There's no use of the familiar melody. Very strange music choices in this film, by the way. And so it feels a little different. It's not as beautiful looking as the official films. And yeah, of course, today I realize it wasn't an official Bond film, but back in my childhood days, I didn't even realize this, I noticed some differences, even as a little child, but it felt like any other Bond film to me. And that's because they did a great job. I think Kevin McClory did a great job. Look, I know this is a little trashy sometimes, but let me first talk about what's great about this film. It has Connery, and Connery is amazing in this film. I think he's on top of his game again. I think he's in perfect shape. He looks better than he did in his last two official releases. Where he seemed very tired and still very entertaining, still great. But in his last official Bond films, you noticed he didn't really want to be there. He did Diamonds Are Forever, his last film, his last official film. He did it for the money. And as I said, he still was pretty cool, but not as great as he once was. And I'm a fan of his more ruthless portrayal in Dr. No and From Russia with Love, where he's a little darker, he's not that humorous. But I also love his funny side, his charming side, and his humorous side. I think he does it very well. Very dry British sense of humor. Great, very, very funny. And this is pretty much what he does in Never Say Never Again. He's very funny in this film. Very dry sense of humor, great jokes, and he's very likable in this film. And he's very cool. And I love that this is about an older Bond. I think this is very interesting. Personally, I would be very interested in a movie about an older James Bond, maybe in his 60s or something. I'm, by the way, a fan of the idea to bring Brosnan back for an Amazon-produced show, maybe, some miniseries with an older Bond. And please bring Pierce Brosnan back, He is, in an interview, he said he would do it in an instant. So, yeah, I like that this is about an older James Bond, and I think they make use of the fact that he's older, It perfectly fits the whole Shrublands idea, this health clinic where M sends him to get in shape again, and they make a little fun of his age and of his lifestyle choices. And this is so amusing and so funny because, he's smuggling vodka and foie gras and caviar and all of those things that he likes to eat and drink. He smuggles this into the health clinic and secretly, is dining in his room when he's pretending to, get back in shape. It's so funny. And I love the whole fight scene in the training room and stuff like that. And yeah, I think they make great use of Connery's age. And it perfectly fits the story because in the novel Thunderball, M sends him to this health clinic called Shrublands. So the fact that Connery was a little older by that time, it was perfect for the story. So Connery is my main reason. The main reason for my love of this film. Second reason is Klaus Maria Brandauer, my Austrian pal. He's one of the greatest villains in Bond history, and I don't care if this is an official release or not. I think he's one of the most interesting and unforgettable, and he's a classically trained actor. He's a theater actor here in Austria. He's a very respected actor in Vienna and in Austria in general, very respected. So, and I think you can see his performance. There's a lot of classically, you notice he comes from theater, the way he talks and his mannerisms and his face expressions. You clearly notice he's a theater actor if you have a little insight. So he gives a very menacing, evil performance and very insane. Back in my childhood days, I didn't even realize how insane this guy is. So he plays Emilio Largo, and I think he's way better than what's the actor called who did it in Thunderball? Acciolo Delphi. It's something like that. I totally forgot his name. Some Italian guy. He was also pretty entertaining, but no chance against Klaus Maria Brandauer. I think he got this chemistry with Sean Connery and with Kim Basinger. There's amazing chemistry between those three characters. Yeah, I love his portrayal of Largo, very insane. another reason why I like this movie so much. It's Barbara Carrera playing Fatima Blush. She's, you know, somehow an early version of Senya Onatop, I think. An insane henchwoman. And she gives such an insane, over-the-top performance. It's like a car crash. You cannot look away. It's very strange and very overacted and very evil. And you can't take your eyes off of her. Of course she looks beautiful and she got this femme fatale feel about her presence. But yeah, killing the guy with the snake and Barbara Carrera told in interviews that her performance was inspired by Kali, some goddess, and she was thinking about every time she killed someone, she thought about giving the person a new life or something like that. Yeah, very interesting person, Barbara Carrera, I think. Very eccentric, I guess. And her role and the way she's dressed, in this film, over the top 80s. And it's so fun to watch. And she has a great scene with Sean Connery. It's one of my favorite scenes in Bond. I don't care if this is an official film. I love this scene. It's after the motorcycle chase, where Bond is defenseless on the floor, without his gun. And Barbara Carrera, holds him at gunpoint and forces him to write a letter. A letter about how great she is and how she's the best sex he ever had with a woman in his life. And, the fact that she forces him to write this before killing him. This is insane. And it really makes me laugh all the time I'm watching it. And, when she forces him to say she's his number one, and Connery is so funny and comes up with something like, there was this one girl, and, and she completely freaks out. And of course, he kills her with his pen. It's such an amazing scene. I love this. It's one of my favorite scenes from any Bond film. So Connery, Brandauer, Carrera, those three great casting choices, amazing roles, amazing characters. And then there's also Kim Basinger playing a Domino, playing the main Bond girl, and she's also great. I mean, great. She's not it's not the most interesting character, but I always preferred her in the role of Domino. Claudine Auger played the character in the 60s film. I think, she's a little more my type in terms of her looks. But Kim Basinger is, I think, the more interesting portrayal. I don't know. Yeah, it's not a complex character, but, she has a lot more screen time than Auger did back in the day. And I think she has amazing chemistry with Connery and mainly with Brandauer. The whole relationship between Domino and Largo is pretty intense, I think, because, it's pretty much some toxic relationship, and the way he keeps her by his side, and and he's clearly a psychopath, but very charming at the same time. So he managed to somehow seduce her, into being his girlfriend. And yeah, I think there's a lot of chemistry there. And I think Kim Basinger perfectly fits the role and has amazing chemistry with both Bond and Largo. So I also like her a lot. I like all of the characters in this film. The main characters are so strong. And yeah, that's also, I think the action is also pretty good. Yeah, it's not as great as in the official films, but Let's take the motorcycle chase, for example. I love this whole thing. Great stunt work, and Bond looks so cool on the motorcycle with the black tuxedo and dressed all in black and the black motorcycle. He looks so great. It looks really cool. I love this. And I think it's amazing action scenes. So this is one of my highlights of the film, is the motorcycle chase. There's great locations. You know, they filmed the French Riviera and at the Bahamas, stood in for Nassau. And yeah, it's exotic, like all of the official films are. Maybe not photographed in such an artistic, beautiful way. Yeah, it lacks some of the in terms of the visuals, but yeah, it combines some European chic, let's say, with a Caribbean feel. And that's always a great combination for a Bond film, I think. So I think it's just beautiful enough. Yeah, the only thing that I really have to criticize, that I really don't like about this film, is the music. As I always say, Bond films have a larger-than-life score, but not this one. Very strange music choices. There's some jazz vibes and jazzy themes, and I think the music don't fit what's going on screen. The music choices give the film some comedy vibes, and they don't really fit with the tone of the film, I think. But that's pretty much the only criticism that I have. Other than the music, I love everything about this film. Everything. Great characters, amazing casting choices, nice locations, great villain, great humor. I love the motorcycle. I love the action scenes. Yeah, just don't like the music. And now I have to say something highly controversial. It feels really strange to admit it, but I will admit it right now. I prefer this one to the 60s film. I prefer this one to Thunderball. I know. It's very unusual because Thunderball is, of course, a beloved film, rightfully so. But I watch this a lot more. I watch this more often than Thunderball, and I enjoy it a lot more. Not only because of the nostalgic elements. I think it's a good film. I think it's even a great film. Yeah, sorry to admit that. So if you haven't seen it in a while, maybe consider a rewatch and give it another chance and watch it with, a little open-heartedness, I guess. It's not as bad as some people say it is. It really isn't. And it's a great time. It's fun to watch. So yeah, maybe you want to rewatch it, give it another try. Thank you for watching. And as always, see you very soon. Love you. Love the Bond community.